I love a good thriller, and the movie Alone was just released on iTunes, and I have to say, this movie gave me everything I wanted in a good thriller. Let's get into it. Alone is a 2020 thriller that is now available to rent on digital. The film is directed by John Hyams, and the film stars Jules Wilcox, who plays our main character Jessica. We have Mark Menchaca, who plays the killer or the abductor in the movie. And then it also stars Anthony Held. The plot of the movie is a recently widowed traveler is kidnapped by a cold-blooded killer only to escape into the wilderness where she is forced to battle against the elements as her pursuer closes in on her. So the story starts out with our main character Jessica. She's packing up her car and she's really leaving her old life behind. While she's driving, looks like she's driving through the mountains, she tries to pass a car that's driving really slow in front of her. When she tries to pass the car speeds up and she almost gets in an accident. From there, this driver kind of keeps following Jessica, and eventually he kidnaps Jessica. And then it's all about her getting away from her abductor. This movie, I would say, first, I love a good thriller, and this movie is definitely right up my alley. One, we really do have serial killers in real life, and people do get kidnapped. So this is definitely a scary storyline that does really happen. And overall, I will say, this thriller was really good, and I really enjoyed it. So what did I like about this movie? First, I'll have to say, I love the main character in this movie. One, she's really smart, and she trusts her instincts, which I appreciate it. So many times in these types of movies, the main character will just make a lot of dumb decisions that as an audience member, you're just kind of watching the movie and screaming at the television, and that doesn't happen in this movie. This character is really smart. This guy's giving her the creeps, and he tries a couple times to get her out of her car to talk to her or be like, hey, I need help with my car. Can you please help me? And she doesn't fall for it. She trusts her instincts and she drives right around him and keeps going. And I really appreciated that her character was smart and she trusted her instincts. A side note, I also listen to a lot of murder podcasts, My Favorite Murder and Crime Junkies. And this really does happen in real life where people will go against their instincts and they'll be polite to someone, and what that ends up getting them killed. They get kidnapped and killed because of it. So it's okay in these situations to, if you have a bad feeling about someone, it's okay to be rude and trust your instincts. So I appreciated this movie really had Jessica trust her instincts, and she got away from this guy and she did her best to stay away from him. She had a bad vibe and she did her best to get away from him, and I appreciated that. Also, I'll have to say, this movie is, and just generally, really creepy. One, anytime you're driving on the back roads or through the mountains or the country, especially at night, it is really creepy. And if you're getting the bad vibes that someone's stalking you or following you, it's really creepy, and I would be creeped out. And I think this movie did a really good job just setting the tone and kind of having you on the edge, like a good thriller would do. Also, I will have to say, the main actor, or the antagonist in the movie, the actual killer, he did a really good job as well. He was super creepy. As soon as he kind of starts talking to Jessica, you're creeped out by him. So I thought he did a really good job playing a creep pretty much in this movie. When he initially kidnaps Jessica, there's a scene where she's locked in a basement and it's nighttime, so there's no light in there, and he opens the door and all you can see is the flashlight and you hear him come into the room. I would say that scene is pretty terrifying, and if that was me, I would be terrified in real life. So I think this movie overall was just really, really creepy, and like I said, this stuff really happens in real life, so I think this is a lot of people's fear of, getting kidnapped and murdered. So overall, I will say this movie was pretty terrifying. So what didn't I like about this movie? First, I'll have to say this movie for me works the best in the very beginning when Jessica's being stalked by the killer, and also when she's captured by the killer and she's locked in the basement. That's when the movie for me is the most terrifying, and the storyline's it's unique at that point. For me, it becomes a little bit more generic is when Jessica escapes from the killer. One, she escapes really easy from the killer, and then when she escapes, the movie turns into Jessica lost in the woods trying to get help where this killer's chasing her. And I feel like that's something we've seen 1,000 times before, where you have the main character trying to escape, but this crazy killer's after her. And in those types of movies, there's always a river. The main character always jumps in the river to get away from the killer. And that's just sort of some stuff that does happen in these types of movies, but it's just very generic. We've seen that 1,000 times. You saw that in movies like Kiss the Girls, or just, I'm sure, a million other movies as well. So its storyline just becomes a little bit more generic and predictable. There's definitely moments where, you know, she finds a cell phone. Of course the cell phone's dead. It doesn't matter that she's escaped this killer multiple times, but somehow he still keeps finding her and still on her trail. She runs into help, and the person helping her gets killed. I feel like these are just stuff that happens in a lot of thrillers or a lot of movies where it's just very predictable, I would say. So even with that, with the second half of the movie having some more generic moments or predictable moments, I still overall really enjoyed this movie, and it was a good thriller. And in 2020, we don't have a lot of movies, and this was one I really enjoyed, so I definitely recommend it to everyone. If I had to rate this movie between a 1 and a 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, I probably would give it a 3.5. Like I said, I had a really good time with this movie, and if you enjoy a good thriller, I definitely recommend it. And yeah, if you do end up watching this movie, please let me know what you think in the comments below, and like this video and subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you.